Welcome anyone to my YouTube channel. This is 2Beats to Kill You, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Xbox possibly releasing some games on rival platforms. But before we get into the video, I just want to remind everyone, please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff to put my videos out there, put my name out there and stuff. I want to grow the channel still, gotta be shameless in that a little bit. But yeah, so let's get into the, and if you can still tell, past couple videos, my voice was a little bit hoarse, but it's obviously a little bit better. Throat's still kind of sore. Did not think I would have been, being sick would affect me as long as it has. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the topic. So there's been some reports by different, insiders and everything. I think one of them's Nate the Hate or something. I don't remember. There's the Jeff Grubb guy. There's been a few different insiders who have I guess you could say made the claim, or have just put it out there that at least for sure, not for sure, but at least the biggest one that seems to be that, like, oh, this one is like 90% going to Switch, maybe PlayStation, is the Hi-Fi Rush game. So that was a game that was just shadow dropped in the developer direct last year, when Microsoft or Xbox was doing all their, like, hey, we got Bethesda, let's welcome Bethesda, let's do a big thing talking about them and how it's going to be great and this and that. And, talking about their games. And yeah, they announced and that day released Hi-Fi Rush. I played the game, haven't finished it. Unfortunately, I just get caught up in other things, and it kind of fell to the wayside. I never got back into it. I'll probably finish it hopefully this year, but backlog keeps growing and growing and growing. And I play way too much Gears, and Destiny. But from what I played and everything, the game is great. It is very good. I'm not a huge fan of the rhythm elements of it, but it's interesting enough, and it didn't get on my nerves to the point where I didn't want to play the game. It's just an interesting interesting gameplay thing to have with these, character action games like a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta and all that stuff, or older God of War games. Just something new. But yeah, the game was fun. If it gets released on Switch, cool. PlayStation, cool. Whatever. The other game that isn't talked about as much, but has also made the rounds that might get released, is the Sea of Thieves game. That one, to me, is a little bit weirder, because Hi-Fi Rush, you can make the case that even though Microsoft, owns Bethesda, they still are their own entity in a way, because even when Starfield was released, it was published by Bethesda, or when Hi-Fi Rush, it says published by Bethesda, they have their own, like, the Bethesda Directs or whatever. Like, they don't say Xbox or Microsoft Game Studios. It's Bethesda when it's a Bethesda game, or a studio like id or Machine Games or whatever. Or when that Blade game was announced, which is from Arcane, it's being published by Bethesda. So a game like Hi-Fi Rush can make sense to me that you would release it on other platforms, because you could be like, well, Bethesda is its own entity. There was games that were being developed for other consoles, and I still think that if you were like, oh, but this is Bethesda releasing it, yeah, we'll have some games that are exclusive, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, or certain games, or like Street Fighter, was it 5. I think it was 5, right? 4 or 5. One of the Street Fighters that was exclusive to PlayStation. You could justify that, almost like a third party, but we paid for exclusivity from this studio or from this publisher for that game. Oh, kind of like Titanfall, the first one. How that was EA, but the first Titanfall was Xbox. But Sea of Thieves is Microsoft. Rare Games is completely part of Xbox Microsoft Studios. It's not a thing of it's Bethesda, which is owned by Microsoft, but still Bethesda, or Activision Blizzard, which is owned by Microsoft, but it's Activision Blizzard. They operate on their own. No, Rare Games is Xbox Studios. So that one's a little bit weirder to me, that Sea of Thieves would be possibly releasing on other consoles, most likely probably PlayStation. That game probably wouldn't be able to run on a Switch as well. Maybe they'd have to downgrade it, obviously. But yeah, another thing with all this hoopla, if you're on social media, Twitter /X, whatever you call it, is you see a lot of Microsoft fans or Xbox fans. A lot of them are not happy. They're not happy with this, or seemingly not happy with this news or these rumors that Microsoft could be releasing their games on other consoles. To me, I don't. So for me, this isn't a big deal, I think, because Microsoft has been doing this for a while, or not doing this, but going at this for a while, where they clearly want to just be a game publisher that also has a console. I don't think that they want to be just a straight up game publisher, but I also don't think that they want to be tied to just having the Xbox as their only thing when it comes to releasing their games. Now, I don't think that they'll start releasing every game that they publish on other consoles. See, a game like Hi-Fi Rush, like I said earlier, that makes sense. You can justify that as, this is a Bethesda game. It's just like with Minecraft. Minecraft was such a thing before Microsoft bought them, that when they came out with that Minecraft dungeon crawler game, it released on PlayStation as well. There's that Minecraft RTS game, was it Legends, I think, that released as well on other consoles. It wasn't just Xbox. So when it comes to Bethesda games, I think you can make the case. Same thing with Activision Blizzard. You can make that case. Now, yeah, like I said, Sea of Thieves, that's a little weird. It can start leading, if Sea of Thieves does get released on, let's say PlayStation, that can start the conversation of if you're willing to release Sea of Thieves, are you willing to release the next Halo game, the next Forza game, hell, the next Gears of War game? So that can be a little bit weird, that if they release an Xbox Game Studios game, is it going to start a snowball effect? And like I said, I do think that Microsoft possibly might want to do it, because they have their Game Pass. That's clearly where they've been putting for, however long Game Pass has been out. I don't remember. But for how long that subscription service has been a thing, they have been constantly pushing it to be their thing. That's what they are. They have games that you want to play, and if you want to play them, pay however much a month. I think Xbox Game Pass Ultimate's $17 or $18 right now a month. Pay this much a month, and you get to play all our games day one. You don't have to buy them. They're on this service. download it, stream it, and that's what they're moving toward. Like I said, I think they want to be almost like a half publisher, half console maker, where, we release games, we publish games, and we put them out there. And, you might be able to get it on Switch, you might be able to get it on PlayStation. But hey, if you don't want to play a PlayStation console or a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo console, we do have our own. We have the Xbox. For me, I think I'd be fine with something like that, actually, now that I think about it. Because one of the big reasons I play Xbox is not even for their exclusives necessarily. Yeah, I play Halo here and there, but I'm not a big fan. I like Forza Horizon enough, but I won't play that game for more than a week before I'm like not as enamored with it. And when it comes to games they release, like during the Xbox One, all this talk of like, oh, Microsoft doesn't have games, but they've released a lot of games. Maybe some of them weren't Xbox Game Studios. They paid for it, like Dead Rising 3. They paid for the exclusivity of that. But like ever since the Xbox One generation, they have released games, but I've never been like totally in love with every game they released. Sunset Overdrive was one they published, which, after the Insomniac hack and leak and everything, my hope for a new Sunset Overdrive is just pretty much gone, which makes me sad. But that one was one that I really loved. There was games like Rise, Son of Rome that was okay. Dead Rising 3 that was published by them, that was okay. I did kind of like that Loco Cycle. I actually do very much enjoy the Ori game, so there's another one. But when they were just releasing other games, like, I'm not a big fan. Like, even when it comes to PlayStation console exclusives, the only ones I'm really into are God of War and Uncharted. Everything else has just been like a meh to me. Even Spider-Man, as big of a Spider-Man fan as I am, and I loved that first one, and I loved Miles Morales, but I almost did not enjoy Spider-Man 2. It had a great story, but everything else was just, I was almost at a point where I thought I was not going to finish the game, but I did finish it. I begrudgingly finished it, but yeah. The last Xbox exclusive that I very much was just like, ooh, besides Gears of War 5, was Starfield. That game I was super in love with. So, if Microsoft wants to be more of a publisher, but they have a console that you could buy, I'd be fine with that, because the main thing is I like the ecosystem. I like the console. I like the UI, the user interface. I think they have a more stable online. I can't talk right now. The controller is second to none. To me, if you have an Xbox controller, you have the best controller, best standard controller. Now, if you want the best controller, that's the Xbox Elite controller, specifically the second version. That controller is just, there's no better controller. And if you think that the PlayStation controller is better, you are nuts. Even with my smaller hands, I get cramps playing that PlayStation controller. The only time I really see people complaining about getting cramps playing controllers is when they have large hands. I'm a small guy. I'm only 5'2". I have smaller hands. I don't get cramps playing the Xbox controller. But playing that PlayStation controller, I can play maybe 30 minutes before my fucking fingers start to be like, wow, this controller sucks. I will never understand. The PlayStation 5 controller is better. I will admit that it is better, the best PlayStation controller anyway. I will admit that it's actually not that bad of a controller. Still, Xbox controller all the way. I'm starting to get into a rant about all these different things. So I think I'm going to stop right there with everything, But yeah, Hi-Fi Rush possibly coming to other consoles. Sea of Thieves, even smaller chance. it's 2024. Maybe it's time for these console makers to start getting a little bit more crazy. I would love it if Sony decided, hey, you know what, or PlayStation decided, we're gonna just release games on other consoles too, like that. If you just want to play on PlayStation, hey, you can buy our PlayStation. But if you want to play Uncharted, Last of Us, God of War, Spider-Man, I guess Horizon, that game sucks, but if you want to play those games, hey, yeah, you can play it on Xbox. But we do have our own console. Or if I could play Legend of Zelda on an Xbox legally, obviously. I mean, you know what I mean. If I could, like, if Nintendo was like, yeah, we're gonna start releasing our games on other consoles, they'll never do it. They never do it. They make too much money. But oh man, to play a Legend of Zelda game on an Xbox with that controller looking as good as it can look, because of PlayStation and Xbox, their strive to be a powerful consoles and everything. Yeah, nah. Like I said, I'm another little just going off. So yeah, thanks for. I'm over here abrupting this very, very quickly, or ending this very abruptly. I cannot talk today for some reason. Yeah, thanks for watching. Again, please like and subscribe, and I will catch you later.